Sweet. Number two. This is cool. Morning, 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 morning. So this is fun. I've done one of these. Wait, are we live yet? Wait. There we go. I have done one of these, no, wait, two of these before. So I did this last year, but not a takeover. So this is pretty cool. I did do an AMA once. I forgot what, for some book promotion company. Hey, what's up? All knowing Q. All right, cool. So we got how many people in the chat? 10? That's cool. All right. I don't really know exactly what to say. Yeah, I'm alive. Is that a joke about the hurricane in Florida, or is it a joke about me coming on the internet? Let's see. It's kind of interesting to me to do these because you watch like podcasts and you watch people do these things and they can just talk. And I'm just going to start talking about my books. So could be both. What's funnier? Well, for me, the hurricane wasn't really that big a deal. Hey, Maria, how you doing? Hey, Kyle. It was, kind of a excuse to kind of chill out, and I feel bad saying that because a lot of people had a lot of problems with it. But it is what it is, and that is not supposed to sound not empathetic. It just sometimes you're lucky and you're not in the path, and sometimes you're unlucky and you are in the path. But on that negative note, let's talk about my books. So I've written a few different series, and the first of those I wrote was Earth Online, and that was my foray into writing and Amazon publishing. And I thought it was a book, but it was really a novella, and I thought that I had a lane. I'm live, and yes, books. I agree. I thought I had a lane because at the time I had just moved to Colorado Springs with my wife and my girlfriend at the time. And well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that real quick in a minute, Kyle. Just give me a second. And I thought I could write stories, lit RPG, with a Cheech and Chong element, because at the time I was smoking a lot of pot. I was like, oh, this would be great, and I started writing those novellas thinking they were books, and they were not. And each one's only about 25,000 words, and there's like 5 of them. So maybe one whole book combined. But after that, I was like, I really want to write a real lit RPG. And then I started my Warrior Academy books, which is the hat I'm wearing. And at the time, I was watching a lot of anime, a lot of Naruto, a lot of My Hero Academia, and a whole lot of GBB, the Great British Bake Off, which is probably my favorite show. Well, now my second favorite show. The first favorite show is, as a segue, Culinary Class Wars on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's phenomenal. And I think all the new cooking shows are going to be like it. It's a Korean cooking show. And it takes established chefs, like famous Michelin chefs in Korea, and pits them against young and upcoming chefs in Korea. And they have this class thing where they go, it's like black chefs, the up and comers, and the white chefs, coats, the colors of their clothing, not the, and they battle. And it's really cool. Anyway, back to the books. So with Warrior Academy, I was like, I want to write a kids lit RPG because my little my oldest nephew moved up to California, and he was having trouble like fitting in. So I thought it'd be cool if he could read something that's like about a hero that kind of looked like him, and like a hero that looked like him, and it was anime, and maybe he'd get into it. And I think it worked. He did get into it for a little while, but then he grew a little older. But after that, I really wanted to do I Am Gamer, which is something I've been thinking about for a really, really long time. And I Am Gamer was when I first found, uh, if anybody knows who Graham Hancock is, and like he's like this journalist who like ports all these theories about lost civilizations and stuff, and it's real fun reading. And I remember getting all into it in Ancient Aliens. I was like, how cool would it be if we could go back in time to North America before all the people died from the germs, which brings me to the book I read at the time, which was Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is all about how the explorers and conquistadors came to North America, South America, Central America, and basically the diseases they brought from Europe and Asia wiped out, like 9/10 of the population or something like that. It's really interesting to think about, and it's real good story. Yeah, it is a great book, real good story material. It's not new; people have been doing it for a long time. Anyway, with I Am Gamer, I was like, it'd be really cool, go back in time, like a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court, or even more modern stuff like S.M. Sterling's what is it? Dies the Fire. I'm sure somebody might know that. What is it? Ah, man. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them. And so I wrote I Am Gamer, and then after that, all the cooking I was into, the idea from Chef came to me. Dies of Fire. Thank you, Natalie. Yeah, that's a really good series. If you like if you like post-apocalyptic fantasy, alternate reality, I guess, post-apocalyptic magical realism fantasy. But it's a really great series. I like S.M. Sterling a lot. But the idea from Chef came to me, but I had couldn't figure out really how to do it. I'm like, who would really be interested in a chef hero guy? So I wrote a few more books. I did a spoof on a. It's a little dark. They get pretty dark. There's some darkness in there. He gets a little like towards the end of this. I've noticed like this is a segue as well, but I've noticed in a lot of these series, once you get past book 4 or 5, the author tends to get a little out there, a little dark, a little bit, because there's only so many ideas that come to you, and there's only so many ways you can grow a character, And I don't know if I love it or if it's just a natural occurrence with series as they elongate. You see it with even like all the great ones, like Robert Jordan, or even Game of Thrones. Although you could say Game of Thrones is like just dark. Oh God, I remember the first time I read the passage and they killed Nate. I think I was like 13, and I just was like, hi, they killed Ned. They killed Ned Stark, the hero. You can't kill the hero. What? Yeah. So anyway, I wrote this spoof on harem and kind of Disney, where post-apocalyptic nuclear winter, in the future, where the hero comes out after being in kind of like a shelter like Fallout, and he's in the Central Florida-ish area, and the Disney world is kind of mutated into this like craziness, and there's like mutant alligators and mutant, all these things with like a kind of a twist on the fairy tale. But that was hard to write. I'm not a very good I can't really write romance that well. It's not my forte. But after that one, I did a like an 80s throwback, because I was watching. So a lot of my ideas that come to me while I'm watching like or listening to music or watching old movies. And if anybody's seen Big Trouble in Little China, it's a old 80s movie with God, what's his name? Kurt Russell. and he's a truck driver, and he goes into Chinatown in like San Francisco back in or New York, San Francisco or New York. I think it's San Francisco. Might be New York. But he goes into Chinatown, and there's all this like magic and the Chinese like myths and legends, and it's where the idea for Raiden from Mortal Kombat comes from. You know, it's a really great. What check? I hope it's a good check. But when I saw that movie, I was like, man, I miss 80s action flicks. And so I went on like a binge and watched some old Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, The Crow, but a whole bunch more. But I was like, man, I really want to do one of these. I thought it was SF2. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It's science fiction too. But God, I love that movie. And then when the one guy he like blows up, anyway. So I wrote the White Soul series, which is I took the 80s movies, action heroes, and mixed it with Korean mythology because I'm half Korean. You know, my mom is Korean, and I thought that was pretty fun. But I had the scene at the beginning of it, which to me wasn't very risque because it's in all the 80s movies. And there's a scene where the main female character gets assaulted and almost like raped, but doesn't, and they get saved. She beats the guy and wins. And like a lot of people like got all mad at me. And I was like, all right, well, cool, this is too much. So I kind of strayed away from that kind of thing. It wasn't even like, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, after that, I did some more I Am Gamers, did some more workouts, did some more books, and all the while fleshed out from Chef. And when we moved from, let's see, it's 2024. From 2021, we moved from Colorado back here, and from here to Germany. And in Germany, Taj, I miss you, brother. Man, I try to call you on Facebook, man. So Matt, I do like cooking in real life, and I do experiment with food for book research. I'll get to that too. I'm actually going to do one of the pods. I forgot the name. It's a cooking podcast with a couple of the other guys, a couple of other authors, because my background is restaurants. I've been in restaurants I was in restaurants for 20 years. Yeah, you better, bro. You better. I'll hit you up on Messenger. I miss you, dude. If you've noticed, if you've read some of my books, my favorite thing to cook, I have like 3 go-tos, and the first one's fried chicken. I love fried chicken. It is probably if you were like you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, it would be fried chicken. And I probably experimented with 1,000+ different ways to cook fried chicken, and I've come out with some really, really good ones, I think. And I put those, if you notice, if you read my books, the recipe for the fried chicken changes with each successive book because I've refined and made it better and better. Along with the fried chicken is a clam chowder. I'm a huge clam chowder guy. My wife and I joke about it. She's like, if you open a restaurant, you'd only have clam chowder and fried chicken. And it's probably right. But those 2 things I make all the time. Those are my 2 favorite foods to cook. But I cook anything, you know. Like I said, I was in restaurants for 14 to 20 to 37, so 22 years, starting from San Francisco. That's right. Thank you, Kyle. The delay from the chat to here is like a little annoying, but I got to get used to it because my natural inclination is to talk real fast, and I have to like consciously slow myself down. But so yes, Matt, I do cook in real life for my books, and all the recipes that I use in my books are real recipes. And I also try to put in the actual history of the food if I can, and like which ingredients would are good, you know, for it, like real what did I put? I think I put San Remo tomatoes, but it's Marzano tomatoes. My wife and I went to San Remo in Italy last year, and we made this big joke about San Remo. I know this is a dumb thing to say, but anyway, so my book, I put San Remo tomatoes, and people read that and were like, that's dumb. Anyway, so it's San Marzano tomatoes. Dude, chicken and clam chowder is awesome. What else? Yeah, even the sushi stuff in From Chef, all the sushi. We went to so when we were living in Germany, we went to Poland, Warsaw. Warsaw? Yeah. And went to God, what's the name of that sushi restaurant? Oh God, I can't think of the name of it. It's like a chain, super famous. I'm just blanking on the name right now. Anyway, the point of the story is I had the best sushi of my life in the middle of Europe at this sushi chain. God, what was it called? Why can't I think of the name of it? Anyway, not Morimoto's, but Robert De Niro's his partner. So the sushi in From Chef is from this restaurant. We had like versions of it there. And God, it was so good. And it was this is not a brag. This is a painful thing for me to say. It was the most expensive meal of my life. My wife and I spent $500 on sushi, and not only was it $500, but it was the best meal of my life. And I hate that I had to spend that much money to have the best meal of my life. It seems so like bougie, but God, it was so good. And I guess that's kind of the like Nobu. Thank you, sir. Nobu. Yes, Nobu. Nobu. Man, it was delicious. So yeah, we were at Nobu, and God, it was so good. But I find that I found that after I went there, From Chef came to me a lot easier because I really knew then what I was going to do because the food was so good. I was like, I'm just going to write about this food. It was so good. And we got to sit by the bar and watch the sushi chefs work. And they were all imported from Japan, which was cool to see them, to see these like traditional Japanese sushi chefs like running a Nobu in Warsaw. I think it was Warsaw. This is going to sound like another dick thing to say, but the 3 years we were in Germany, it all blends together. All the cities, like those Eastern Bloc cities, look very, very similar, except for like the really, really old ones like Krakow and Prague. But yeah, so after doing that, From Chef came to me really good, and it was COVID. Yeah, it's at the there's a hotel there. They're part of. They were the Nobu Matsuhisa made a deal with this hotel chain, the Oriental, the Mandarin Oriental, and so there's a Nobu in every Mandarin. I'm pretty sure it was Warsaw. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Warsaw. I Google it real quick, or I'm sure somebody else can. I don't want to like mess up my computer because I probably would. On a side note, did anybody watch? Did anybody watch the SNL skit with this? I think it was last week or the week before with Andy Samberg, and it was like glory hole sushi. It's horrible. When's your experience with lit RPG? What made you start writing? My first experience with lit RPG was 2014, 2015. And then it was all the Korean stuff. Korean, Legend of the Moonlight Sculptor. What else? What else? Legend of the Moonlight Sculptor. I can't think of those right now because the only things that are coming to mind are the things I found after that. There was like a few poorly written, really, really poorly written. I don't think it's going to have a fishy aftertaste. Oh, God. SNL's still funny sometimes. But where was I going with that? Yeah. So I was reading the Korean novels and the Japanese light novels, and the translations were so bad back then that it was really hard to get through. And then there was a few Americans doing lit RPG, and Alaron Kong was one of the first ones. I read The Land. I was like, oh, this is great. Charles Dean, he had The Bathrobe Knight. I don't want to leave people out because there's so many cool people that started back then that were like writing really good stuff. Dakota wrote I didn't read his Dungeon Core stuff, but I did like his Ritualist stuff is pretty good. I read that back then. Who else was there? You know, there was a lot of guys that dropped off I can't remember their books. They only did like one or two, and then they kind of dropped off over like the first couple years. And then a lot of the new people came, like James Hunter, the Athon Books guys, which those guys are awesome. Jamie Castle and Rhett or Stephen Rhett. They guys are great. But yeah, I would have to give my introduction to lit RPG to Legend of the Moonlight Sculptor. Wait, Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. And Alaron and Charles Dean, probably. I think so. You know what? You know what's kind of cool I could do? You know what's one of the coolest things about this is like a promo for Kindle, I guess. They're paying me a lot of money. But if you go back to your library and you go all the way down, like you have all those books from back then. Like, okay, yeah. So William Brown. So he wrote the Black Coven, which was like kind of harem and like kind of world building. Was one of the first. It's really good. But then I think he got cancer or something and died, or has got sick or something. And then Brent, the Dragon's Wrath. That was a good one. No, World Attorney I didn't like. Oh, D. Wolf, End Online. Man, some of these books and the Russian guys. The Russian guys did so much. I forget about them because there was a period from Legend of the Moonlight Sculptor before Kong and them that I found the Russian guys. And the Russian guys, man, they are prolific writers. Yeah, Brent Roth, he's dope, dude. Yeah, rip. But the Russian guys, and I'll butcher all their names, but some of the first ones. Here we go. Yeah. Where's his name? I liked Vasily Massa. I say his name. Vasily Masanenko. Yeah, Vasily Masanenko, and then Alexei Osadchuk. Those two guys. No, Vasily Mahenko and Osadchuk. Those guys wrote like the real crunchy lit RPG. You know. Who else is there? Oh, Blaze. Yeah, Blaze's stuff was really good. You know, I've always liked his stuff. Before, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Michael Scott Earl was on Amazon for a real hot minute, and he'd kill it. He put books out and books out and books out, and he was making so much money. I think they banned him. I'm not saying they banned him because he made so much money. I'm just saying he got banned. Amazon is the best. I love Amazon. Praise Amazon. Not a bad word to say. But he was putting books out all the time, and his books are great. And I think you can buy them third party. And then who else? Robert Bevan. Oh yeah, he was less lit RPG and more game lit, but his stuff's old. He would do Crab Engine Creatures, which is like a lot of toilet humor, but it's hilarious toilet humor. I think people knock toilet humor, but sometimes there's nothing that works as well as like a good like old school D or P joke, you know. Who else? You know who's a guy? Looking through this library, I remember this book and I just completely forgot about it. There was an author, Cosimo Yap, Opening Moves, the game, and his first book killed it. And then he waited so long for his second book to come out, like he lost all his following. And that's a sad thing. This is another segue off topic, but uh-oh, am I still going? I think so. But with Amazon, for anybody who's an author, thanks Q. My other screen froze. I'm doing that thing where you watch yourself. Yeah. Anyway, but if you wait too long with Amazon, people forget about you, and the market is so saturated these days that if you don't put books out consistently, you just can't do it unless you have a huge following, and that's just the truth. And even really, really, really good authors, like I remember this book. the opening moves. It was a great book. He's a good writer, but it's a real grind. Oh, snap. I remember this guy. Do you guys remember Scotty Fuchs? He used to write these like real quick anime-esque lit RPGs with like real cool fight scenes and dance things and stuff. His stuff's pretty good. He wrote the first tactical lit RPG that I ever read. And I'm looking at Earth Tactics Advanced. And I remember like, this is a good book. You know, it's hard to do things like that. It's really hard to write game mechanics in a way that makes sense to a reader that's not boring. I don't know. That's pretty cool. He's pretty good. I liked all of his books actually. You know, how much time do I got? I got a few minutes left. So those are all the people I liked. There's a few people. He's doing CG art now. Okay, right on. Right on, right on. Yeah, I love like I don't know. So I'm gonna give a shout out to some people that I'm reading right now that I like. Um, let's see, what's good that I'm reading right now. I read all the stuff in my genre because I like to keep up to date. So there's this oh, these were good. The Prince of Binsar. That was the Duke of. That's an Aethon book too. Yeah. You know what? This is gonna be. I don't think I have that much time left. Pretty much everything on the Aethon label is pretty solid. I like those guys. So quick story. So when I went to Las Vegas last year for the 20 books meeting and for the 20 books convention, and was lucky enough to meet the guys in charge of Aethon Books, and that's Steve and Rhett. And having met them, we were able to make a deal for 3 books that should be coming out sometime in the next few months. But it's along the vein of Mercenary of From Chef to Crafter Conqueror, but the title is Mercenary Reincarnated as a Chef, and it's a little bit darker at the beginning, and then gets a little bit more fun and lighthearted. It's a combination tower climber, progression fantasy, and tower defense. It's a lot. It's a big gender bender, but it's kind of in the vein of a never-ending story meets Stronghold. I don't know. It's really fun. I had a lot of fun writing the first book. It's done and ready. The cover's done. I can't show it because it's like a thing. It's my first time doing a book with a publisher, and I'm pretty excited because those guys are awesome. It's really cool. I only have 2 minutes left, and then I think I have to go. But the way it happened is another cool story. I'll tell that during one of the other podcasts. But you tend not to believe in like coincidence or luck or like whatever, kismet, the universe, all those things. But sometimes it just does work out, you know? And yeah, thanks. Okay. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I know I didn't do that great of a job answering everybody's questions. I'll get better. 3 podcasts. One is equals MC squared. That's I think at the end of the week. Another is FMK, which characters. I don't want to say the words here. And the next one I think is tomorrow, and it's food. Talking about food. So anyway, the last minute. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I really appreciate it. Everybody's awesome. Oh, sweet. That's me. Check out From Chef to Crafter Conqueror. We got 5 books in the series. I Am Gamer, 4 books in the series. Warrior Academy, 5 books. If you like a little bit of stoner comedy, Earth Online. And those are in order of how good the series are. I think that as a writer, I've progressed from my first series to my last. But you let me know, Yeah. I'll send you Scotty's info. He's great. Let me see if I can get that real quick. Amazon.com. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. 45. All right, everybody. Have fun with the rest of Guild at FiCon. Thank you.